high schools, or free art after-school programs in high schools.
So I think the best person to I know that Baltimore City, the city funds through the Pastor for the Family League arts programs and after-school programs, out-of-school time activities for all different age students. Now, I don't know off the top of my head which ones are for arts, but the Family League of Baltimore is the one that does that programming with respect to what's offered in the schools. I don't run the school, so Dr. Thornton and his team would be the best to answer that question, because Twigs and all of those other things are offered through Baltimore City Public Schools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rachel Rabinowitz. I'm a real estate professional. I am thrilled with the programs available through Baltimore Housing, grants and incentives. And I think the time has come to perhaps consider a grant or incentive for lift workspaces for creative professionals.
And we I think, come a long way with our Vegas to Value initiative and with encouraging live near your work. And I'm certainly interested in taking a look at how we can expand that. I mean, we've gotten international acclaim for our work, and I take as a point of pride that we've made such significant investments in creating incentives for people to choose Baltimore as a home. I think the artist community, our investment through the Arts and Entertainment District, I think is proof that we are invested in the development of artists because it helps us to create vibrant communities. So we certainly can take a look at how we can expand that.
Wayne Hankin. I work with various cultural institutions and educational institutions around the country. My question, with all the wonderful talent that we have in Baltimore, is Baltimore interested in pursuing a Sister Cities campaign, bringing Baltimore artists to other people around the country?
Explain what you mean.
Essentially, for example, a city like ours can come into another city that maybe is not doing so well culturally, bringing Baltimore artists into the area, whether they're painters or musicians or whatever the categories are. They help these communities with their expertise, giving cultural awareness and programs.
I mean, it sounds like a great idea. I tend to be more of the bring everyone to Baltimore as opposed to send Baltimore out. But it seems I mean, I certainly hadn't thought about it, but if it's something that, if there was a proposal that, that was supported by, the arts community, I would certainly entertain it. It's not something I would, take up the charge to do myself. Like I said, I'm focused on getting people here.
Hello. My name is Mia. I guess I'm an arts organizer in the area. I came a few years back and we had a conversation, and then I was, fresh out of college back to Baltimore and kind of came here as more of a patron. So since then, I've been organizing different arts and networking events across the area, trying to connect young adults to these grant opportunities and these different organizations that sit here, just so there's a little bit more transparency and equity for those who normally don't see it or have access. And I've been able to, talk to a lot of owners of different spaces and artists, but mostly owners. And I found that a lot of them struggle with getting the same, I guess, like I said, opportunities or having access to these things. So some things that I've been hearing, someone who, and these are mostly in arts districts. So for example, there's a owner of a space in Station North. He's been there for maybe 10, 15 years. It's a popular place. And he was just sharing that, you know, he had an incident with his building and he wasn't able to get a business grant or loan that another space was able to get that doesn't have that footing in the area, or it was just kind of ridiculous terms. You have to pay this back in 6 months. In the Bromo district, there was an owner who said he could only get his entertainment license if he promised the city he wouldn't have urban promoters. Another owner, again, a woman that was there for 15 years, saying that the new population that's coming in just walks right by, you know, no one is coming in, so she can no longer keep her doors open. It's just, you know, so many, you know, different artists saying, or promoters or organizers saying they don't have access to these burgeoning new spaces and places. So I'm seeing in this presentation that a part of creative placemaking is making sure it's representative community, and the other thing that I've been seeing is community means these 5 or 6 people that show up to business associations and community associations that are often that aren't totally representative, and I've sat in these meetings. I'm a quiet person. I like to just lurk. So I'm lurking in these meetings and I'm hearing things like, this particular club or space, we cannot have this in our community, you know, we can't have this here, even though it, you know, it's arts and entertainment and they're arts and entertainment, but they can't be there for whatever reason, I'm not going to say. And, you know, the businesses that I said before saying I don't want to go here because I feel like I'm not being heard anymore, so I'm not going to be a part of these meetings anymore. I'm feeling silenced out. So, you know, I'm hearing just all these different perspectives. Anyway, saying that about a creative placemaking, making sure that it's community driven and making sure that it's something that benefits everyone and not necessarily just as patrons, but as the artists and as these people who run different organizations and businesses, how can we, moving forward, make sure that it is more equitable, and considering you're a city representative, I can have conversations with everybody else as far as like those who, you know, giving those things. As far as giving the appropriate permits and the appropriate licensing to make sure that these different spaces are successful.
I think part of why we're here is to try to break through to those, you know, you have a challenge in the arts community because you know, there's art that is widely consumed, and then there's a lot of art that we have in Baltimore which we consider underground, and a lot of that art purposefully operates outside of, you know, all of the systems that we have in place for more mainstream art. But you're here and you know, you've heard of, you know, what we are trying to offer. So if you have individuals who feel that they're not being heard and that they're not being, that they don't have access, you know, you've already spoken up for them. Now you can help us connect to them. In the Bill Cole and BDC have people that work in these, that are, their sole job is to make sure that these arts and entertainment districts are successful. And successful in my mind means that, like what you said, that it's representative of the entire community. So my hope is that, you know, we can connect you with those people that work for Arts and Entertainment District in Baltimore Development Corporation, so we can break through whatever barriers there are to that equity that you seek and I seek.
So I'm a design professional, community strategist at an architecture firm downtown, and I work in the city involved in specifically around the demolition of the Hilton Fountain. And it's interesting, kind of given this context of creative placemaking and all the things we've been talking about, that it's bringing up this issue of who's deciding what's culturally relevant, how is that decision being made, and where was the sort of very public and civically engaged process that led to that conclusion. So the question I have is, how do we, or is there potential to potentially look at, can we hold off on that decision until maybe there is a more broad and inclusive process? And considering that that corner is serving sort of a very broad and diverse community, how have those voices all been heard and recognized and sort of put into that decision? So just wanting to think about, considering that design is also in process in terms of what will replace it, how are we making a decision to take something away when we haven't seen the final results of what will potentially be there is, and that there's even nebulous nothing around what that might be. So just, that all seems very not final to be taking something away that would be final. So just wanting to get some clarity about that.
So I don't know off the top of my head, and I certainly hope I have someone here that can talk about that, that can give you an answer to your question of what the process was. But I just have a few questions for you. When you talk about taking down the fountain, help me understand, is it the process that is your concern? Is it you don't want to see the fountain gone, that's your concern? Tell me what's at the root of the issue.
Personally, I think that the fountain has a lot of value, and as we've sort of had all these, engaged in these conversations, like I said, I work next to the fountain, so I always have this affinity for it. And then as I talk to people, I sort of found that a lot of people share that affinity. And then, what I see in terms of activity in the fountain, I feel like it's gotten a bad rap for being underutilized, and some of the issues that have been assigned to it in terms of perpetuating, whether it's just negative activity, whatever, is more an issue of neglect and policy than it is design problems in the fountain. So I think what we've been thinking about is, how do we rethink the fountain and not say, okay, demolishing is the best solution. Maybe there's something we can do that addresses some of the issues and more creatively approaches it. So are there interventions we can take in the fountain? Do we change things in the fountain? Do we think about policies around how people interact with it that could potentially change the activity that takes place in it?
So is it the fountain, or is it the space?
I think that there's value, and I think the people that have been, this sort of broader group, think that there's value in the fountain itself, in keeping the fountain. And it sort of presents, just the architecture of it and how it sort of interacts with the space that it inhabits is actually very unique in terms of, just the level. There's just a lot within the fountain that presents a lot of really interesting things, and we're not building that back, we're doing something completely different. So just trying to really recognize what it is we're taking away.
I just want to make sure that we're on the same page. My understanding was that it would still be a public space.
It's still public, yeah, and I'm not suggesting it's not public space.
So you're saying, but I was trying to understand what you were saying when you said that we're taking away something and not building it back. I don't know if it's a fountain.
Right.
Yeah,
Putting it back.
But what we have in the fountain, I think, has been basically what Jamie was talking about as far as placemaking. And it's my understanding that while the fountain will no longer be there, the goal is to have another more current way to create, have a creative public space. Can you speak to it, or who would be the best person to speak to it?
Here, I'll come over. My name is Colin Tarver. I serve as Deputy Mayor for Economic and Neighborhood Development. And my background in architecture, and in terms of I'll speak to the public process. The original, the first concept where the fountain was removed was actually during the Pratt Street Plan, which went to the Planning Commission in around 2008, I want to say. There was also a hearing on the McKeldin Fountain with CHAP, the Commission for Historic and Architectural Preservation. I think there's also another upcoming meeting in November with the Public Art Commission to present on the new plans for McKeldin. So you're certainly welcome to come and voice your opinion at those public meetings. So there's a public process in terms of the fountain, the new design for the space.
Can you just give I know that you can't in words give a total visual of what the concepts, that have been put forth so far, but can you talk about what talk a little bit about what's being proposed for that space?
Yeah, I think currently the proposals just show a green space. We removed the berm on the Pratt Street side and planted it with trees. I think the brick crosswalk is going to stay where most of the pedestrians go from to the inner harbor, and then I believe the area of the fountain is sort of it's a placeholder at this point. From the renderings that I've seen, it was a green space. It could be a performance space. It could just be an area for people to picnic or gather.
And I think that's my concern, is that it's not clear. And I know that it's under design, and that's perfectly fine, but that's where I'm questioning, like, should we be acknowledging something that isn't clear at this point? And maybe there's just time and opportunity to have a dialogue about what is relevant about the fountain to the front of you, and how do we have more decision making about it.
So I think what Colin was speaking to is that this has been a concept in a public process since 2008, right? So, I think there's been a conversation that's gone on. I think because there's work going on, or impending work, it's coming to your attention that the concepts around the Pratt Street design, like the work that you're seeing with the berms being taken down, that was also part of that Pratt Street design. I think it's from President to all the way to where? MLK? So there's a whole design concept for that whole corridor, and as Colin said, I think it's perfect. It is. I think it would be right for you to participate in the upcoming public meeting.
And I'm surprised that I've been there for 5 years and I've never seen anything on the mountain itself that's actually looking or received a flyer or anything. And I've worked there for 5 years, I've been there all the time and engaged in all those kinds of things. So recognizing that a lot of times the processes are happening and the invites get sent out and all of that, I think there's a chat here, but I guess my point is that the Pelican Fountain specifically seems like a big enough thing that we should have a specific conversation about it and not a practice plan. I don't know, it seems like that's a specific enough thing that we should have.
I can get it. You're right next to it every day. So I get that.
It seems like, when we talk about those things that are creating that seems like a perfect opportunity if the design entities are trying to figure out how to use the space. Wouldn't you want this really interesting and fun way to engage with the people that are around it? So it just seems like an obvious opportunity.
And I hope that you take that obvious opportunity and come to the hearing and to engage. I think that it would be useful to hear your ideas as well.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. And then come all the way into the back here.
Thanks for coming this evening, Your Honor. My name is Barbara Treasure, and I'm a watercolor artist. Arts and cultural organizations need to build audiences. And in order to build audiences, we need people to be able to navigate the city. I would like to ask you to consider keeping the city circulator free.
Wait a minute, just stop for 1 second. I have never wanted anything but that. So I'm the wrong person to talk to about that. I have always advocated for it to be free. If you've heard anything different, it is coming from another floor in City Hall. It is not from me. For all of you who have clapped and who have expressed an interest in more civic engagement, I would direct your comments to the 4th floor of City Hall.
Oh, okay, last question. I guess I get it. Do you want to do it? No.
Yeah. I don't want to hog the microphone because it's your meeting, and we're so grateful for you being here, Mayor. I just wanted to say that we're so fortunate in this community to have so many wonderful private supporters, and I shouldn't get into a list because I'm going to get into trouble. But folks like the William G. Baker Jr. Memorial Fund, the Deutsche Foundation, the Robert W. Deutsche Foundation, the Maryland State Arts Council, the Blaustein and Rosenberg Foundations, PNC, the Meyerhoff Fund. We have Prince Merrick. I know I'm going to get in trouble because I'm a list. We are so grateful to you for reinstating the Creative Baltimore Fund. Really grateful. And my quick question, and maybe I'm closing because I know we're at the end, but I just wanted to hear what your plans were for the future for the Creative Baltimore Fund.
So thank you for taking on the task of trying to identify the left out partners and not me. So if anyone is to get in trouble, it won't be me leaving someone out, it'll be you. You know, I know that we've had these conversations about the Creative Baltimore Fund, and for someone who adores art and understands how vital it is to have a city that supports the arts. When we were working our way through the recession, it pained me that that fund wasn't in place. And I told anybody that would listen, I was working very hard every year at budget year, you know, as we were trying to scrimp and save and figure out where we could have cuts, you know, how we could put in place a sustainable, to reinstate the Creative Baltimore Fund and make it sustainable. And as soon as we were in that place, we put it back. My goal is to be able to continue that throughout my administration and to look for ways that we can improve it. And improve means many things. We certainly would try to find additional resources, again, with the understanding that I don't, you know, my goal is to get it sustainable. So whatever I do, I feel like we can do, you know, in perpetuity, at least for my administration. So we're looking for, you know, ways that we can grow the pot, but also looking for ways that it can have, you know, to leverage the impact of it as well. So I hope with the individuals who help us to judge the contests, to make the awards, that same group helps us to figure out if there are ways to make it better. You know, are we reaching out to the right partners? You know, do we have an inclusive model? You know, are there people that we're missing out on? You know, are we creating the opportunities for you know, not-for-profits as well as, you know, like what Young was talking about with the House Music Festival? You know, that are we keeping people out because of the way that they're you know, they have formed their organization. So my hope is that we continue to challenge ourselves on that issue and to continue to make it better.
Would you all join me in thanking Mayor Secretary? And special thanks again to the Maryland Historical Society, the Greater Baltimore Cultural Alliance, and Baltimore Office of Promotion of the Arts. Now go see a show and start us on a conversation. Go see art.